What's up everybody, PG Braun here, president of Blackstone Labs. We're in the gym here training with the Dark Queen, and I'm going over some exercise tips 101 primarily for safety. And an exercise I see people doing wrong all the time is the dumbbell shoulder press. And the big tip that I want everybody to see is where I have this bench set up. So I never let anyone go at a 90-degree angle. This is the most common mistake that I see in the gym. A little bit out of breath because I'm training here. But you want to set it up at whatever you want to call this, 80 or 90. That way you can get in proper military posture, as we call it, without having to risk externally rotating your shoulders back too far. And you'll see when she's pressing that everything's going to be a completely straight line. And this is going to really cut down your risk of injury. She's going to demonstrate. Good. Good. So you're coming down to just under 90 degrees with your execution of the range of motion, and you'll see this is all in a perfect even plane, straight up and down, not risking externally rotating back. Lots of stress right on the anterior delt like we want. A little bit of push through the top of the chest, which is okay. Good. Perfect. Good. 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 Damn, you giving us extra ones? So guys, look at where the seat is here. She's got herself in perfect posture, scapula retracted, breaking 90 degrees with her arms, but she's actually staying perfectly 90 degrees with the floor, even though the seat is not. And the seat being like this is what's enabling her to do this perfect. You're cutting the risk of injury back dramatically with an over externally rotation of the shoulders, keeping everything right in front. Very good. All right guys, we got shoulder training 101 today with the Dark Queen, and another exercise that I see people doing wrong all the time is your dumbbell side lateral raise. Now people will tell you there are many different ways to do this, and that is partly true, but there's one way to truly do it the right way where we're stimulating the medial head as much as possible, and a little variation that can actually get you to even engage the posterior head and the back a little bit. Very, very hard muscles to hit because they're very small. They need a lot of individual focus. So let's just watch her doing it for a second. Good. Two key points, guys. Number one, come as far away from yourself as you can. That is extremely important. When you stay locked in, you wind up pulling with the traps too much. Very, very strong group of muscles back here. Point number two, internally rotating from the actual shoulder joint. Notice she's ending up with her pinky really high, showering her haters, so to speak. Some of you guys will figure that one out. Keep going. You can stop. All right, guys. Common exercise that I see people just completely abusing is the reverse pec deck, which is an outstanding exercise for the posterior delt. It is such a difficult muscle to truly isolate because it is a very, very small, tiny little muscle right here. Even on the biggest, most muscular people, it's a tiny little muscle. And when it's developed the right way, which don't look at me because my injuries prevent me from developing the right way, but when it's developed the right way, it really rounds out your shoulder. I like this exercise a lot because it's very isolated. Now, what people do wrong is they just muscle it back with all the muscles in your back. Now, you can turn it into a back exercise if you want. Proper execution looks like this. You see the posterior delt is engaged the whole time. We're concentrating on this. So when she's doing this, she's keeping her arms as far away from her body as possible, concentrating just on the posterior delt, moving this back, and the range of motion is from directly in front of you to right out at 90 degrees. You do not come farther than that. When you start coming back farther than that, you're going to squeeze all these muscles up here in your traps and your back. We don't want that. We want to just isolate the posterior delt as much as possible. I do prefer this grip on the reverse pec deck for actually stimulating the delts the most, and so do the companies like Precore that make this machine, because that is why they put it there. You certainly wouldn't do that for your chest. Hear this for a second. All right, guys, you're gonna set the pad where you're lifting your arms straight in front of you at your shoulder height, okay? And you're just coming straight back. You're gonna be leaning against the pad, arms straight out, arms straight back. And if your arms are not perfectly straight like this, what's going to happen is you're going to start engaging the back muscles too much more. You don't want it to be the opposite where you're too low, because you're going to be squeezing back with the rhomboids and the muscles in your back as well. So line the seat up first, guys. You can see here how perfectly straight everything is. Very good. All right, guys, exercise 101 today. We're doing the upright row, exercise that people constantly do wrong. A couple little tips. Don't go all the way in and don't go too wide either. So we're slightly outside of where I normally see people doing these. And the reason that we're doing this is you're gonna be able to get a little bit more medial delt when you do it this way. The most important thing with these, you're leading with your elbows, not with your wrists. Your elbows always wanna be the highest point. And what I tell people is imagine if I had strings or ropes tied around your elbows and I was just pulling your elbows straight up. You see how high our elbows are coming. They're always leading the way and the wrists are just following. You get a lot of trap involved with this, but that's okay. Now we want to stimulate the traps as well. Still getting medial delt. Very tough exercise. You want to keep that bar nice and close to the body. This is something that your form needs to be truly strict on, or you're going to risk straining your shoulders, straining your neck. A lot of things can go wrong. Good. Good. One more. And rest. Notice she's keeping the bar nice and close to her body. You're gonna drag it right along her body, leading up with the elbows the whole time. Don't let it get away, you're gonna risk straining yourself. The closer you keep it to the body, the better. And again, we always lead with the elbows. Very good. There's a couple more. One more. Good. At the bottom, you can let it kind of like exaggerate a little bit more. Good. Good. Exercise 101 here with PG Braun and the Dark Queen, and we are doing dumbbell rows. A lot of people do this exercise wrong. One thing they want to make sure that you're doing is you're opening yourself up, elongating yourself enough where you're not rotating your spine back. You want to keep your hips nice and even at all times. And you want to be able to actually just let your shoulder hang at the bottom, and then you're contracting your scapula back, pulling the elbow in right along with the body, right into where your belt would be. And this is going to contract the lat completely when you do this. So you're coming from a dead hang directly up until you can't pull that dumbbell up anymore. Very, very important that you're looking up at all times. As long as you're maintaining this proper posture, you never have to worry about straining anything. Always flukes can happen and dramatic things can happen in the gym. Lord knows they've happened to me, but we always want to prevent injuries as much as possible. The tips that I teach you guys in these videos are going to be to prevent injuries. Now, when you let your head look down, start looking down with your head, you start slouching with your posture. We don't want that. We're going to look back up again. And that military posture, as I like to call it, sets back in and relax.